Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Sam. I am over at House Plus Plant on Instagram, and today I'm going to do something that I have been waiting to do for a while, but it's time. I feel like now is the time. I'm going to propagate this Hoya polyneura, and I've been holding off because it makes me sad. There's little peduncles underneath along the vine, and I know I'll probably lose a couple on the cuttings that I take, but there's only one vine in this pot, and I would love for it to be a nice full pot eventually. So the only way to do that is to take some cuttings. So I'm just gonna get into it. I'm pulling out all the stops for this because this plant is really special to me, just because I love it so much. It's a Hoya, it's kind of unique and more rare, so I really don't want to mess it up. So I am going to be propagating in Perlite today. I feel like that is something that I have enjoyed rooting in lately, and it works really well for me. So I'm just gonna do that. A few things I'm gonna be using are the Perlite, just like this. And then I also have a new, well, it's not new, but it is sanitized. I sanitized this cup, plenty of drainage. When you are putting a fresh cutting into something, you want to make sure everything is clean, sanitized, and so you don't introduce any bacteria. Same with my shears. I just sanitize these with rubbing alcohol because I want to make sure that they're nice and clean as well. I have my rooting hormone that I'm going to be using. It's just the Garden Safe Take Root. It's linked in my Amazon store down in the description. I like this one. I don't always use rooting hormone, but in this case, I'm like, it can't hurt, and I want this to do well. So I'm gonna do that. And then one other thing that's a little bit on like the newer side that I'm gonna be using today is this crazy cakey paste. I said kiki before, and someone corrected me and said it's pronounced differently. But what I'm gonna do with this is after I take my cuttings, I'm going to put the paste where I took the cutting, and that will help it like grow new growth better. So when we get into taking a cutting, we want to make sure that the plant is healthy, thriving, which this is. It lives under grow lights just underneath my greenhouse cabinet, and it's doing really good. This new growth has hardened off pretty well, so I'm fine taking the cutting now. There's no other new growth at the moment, which also means it's a good time to take a cutting. Like I said, the only thing I'm sad about losing is possibly losing these, I don't know if you can see them. They're just the little peduncles right there. There's one there, and then there's a few more along the stem of each. But I mean, it's worth the risk, I guess. It'll bloom again eventually. So I'm gonna take the cuttings now. I have my sanitized scissors. I'm going to probably take, I'm like, how far down do I go? I want a really nice full pot, so I'm probably gonna go right here. I'm gonna take, so this will be 3 cuttings is what I'm gonna do. Makes me kind of sad, but it'll be okay. I know it'll be okay. I'm gonna do that on both stems. I'm gonna take 3 cuttings. One other thing to note is that on Hoyas, like a lot of times when we take a cutting, we cut as close up to the node as we can, like below it. But on Hoyas, they can grow roots all along the vine. And so I'm gonna leave this whole stem on, and that is what I will be sticking down into the perlite. So I'm just gonna do it, and I'll just show you how I do it. I don't know, I'm so nervous. I don't wanna cut these because, I feel like since I've gotten it, it's put out these leaves. Basically, it's put out the ones that I'm gonna cut off, which makes me kind of sad, but it's doing well, so I know it will recover. If the cuttings fail, I guess at least the mother plant will still be okay. So when I take this cutting, I'm gonna go down to right above the leaf pair. So I'm going right here. And there we go, there's one, and then the latex kind of comes out. It's the sap, and that's fine. So I'm just gonna let this one sit here for a minute. The nice thing, so on a Hoya, after you take the cutting from right here, anything above this leaf set is going to dry up and fall off. So I'm just gonna let that happen naturally. And then once that does, I think that's when I'm gonna apply the kiki paste. Maybe not, I'm gonna think about that. I might apply it in this video still. So, all right, next cutting I'm gonna take, make sure you guys can see when I'm doing this. Sorry, I'm like nervous to do it, so I'm not really paying attention. All right, I'm gonna take this one right here. There we go. So that's still a pretty good looking plant, even with those cut off. It's just gonna make it so much more uniform and nice. I may even take another one, but for now I'm just gonna leave it like that. I don't wanna take too much from this plant because I don't wanna shock it too much, but later on I might take a little bit lower cutting. I'm not sure yet. So now we have these cuttings. And if you look closely, like I mentioned before, you can see these little dots all along here. And that is where roots will form. And so I want to keep this on. Other cuttings, you can cut up higher. But for these, I want to keep this long stem on. So I'm going to just cut the other individual cuttings in between each leaf pair or leaf set. And these are what I will put in the perlite. This one only has one leaf, but that's okay. So now I have 3 cuttings from this one. If I'm not forgetting anything. So 3 cuttings, and then I'm going to do these 3 as well. More a little bit. That one. And then don't want to damage or poke the existing foliage. Okay, so I have 6 new cuttings. So we're just gonna set this aside. I think I am gonna apply the paste to this one right now, actually. Let's see, I have an extra little, I'm just gonna get the sap off of there. Sap off, and then I will apply the paste so I can show you guys how I do that too. All right, once the sap's dried up, you can apply it. So there's the ends. They're pretty much all dried up now. And so I'm gonna take my paste. It has like lanolin and stuff in it. So this is a mix of plant hormones and vitamins, and it's supposed to increase the new growth of plants. Like, so apparently you can use it on bare vines and it will grow new growth from the nodes. And so I did add it to some of my other plants around here that are like that, like some bare spots in my vines, like along there. And so hopefully that will work. We'll see. It can take like 6 to 8 weeks. So it'll be a while before we know. So I'm going to apply this right in between. I'm not going to apply it to the tip of where I cut because nothing will grow from there anyway. I'm gonna go down in between these 2 leaves, and I might even throw a little bit on the nodes below too, just to kind of like encourage new growth from those. I think we'll see how this works, but it's really sticky, and so it stays on pretty well. Even if you water it or mist it or anything, it's not gonna wash off. So just apply it to the underside in that little node area. We'll see. I don't know if I did that right, but you can see it right here and on the next one. So I'm gonna do that to both of the areas that I cut. Both of the stems. We will see if it helps. It can't hurt. I mean, that's all what I always say. I'm like, it's not gonna hurt anything to do this. I hope that if anything, it will help. So, okay, now, we are done with this plant. I'm gonna put it back under the grow lights so it can grow new growth, be happy, live its best life. And then once these cuttings are all big enough, I will probably either stick them in this pot or pot them all into a different pot together. But for now, this is going over here and out of the way. Okay, I can put this away too. I might actually even put some of this on these cuttings eventually too, but not right now. So, okay, now that I have these cuttings done, I'm going to just mist them and then stick them in the rooting hormone. You just want them to be a little damp so that the rooting hormone sticks onto it. And I'm just gonna dip this whole stem in because along each stem I can feel there are little nubs already that are ready to become roots. And so I'm just gonna give them a little head start. So we just missed it. I'm gonna do all of them. And this is my pump sprayer. I am obsessed with it. I use it for everything. It's a little extra, but I don't even care. I water my plants with this and they are so thankful for it. All right, actually, I'm gonna let those sit for a second. They're gonna stay damp, which is fine. I'm gonna let those sit and I'm gonna get my perlite into my potting container. So when you are rooting in perlite, you wanna make sure that the perlite always stays damp. You don't wanna let it dry out because then the roots dry out and baby roots are very delicate to that. So you wanna make sure that you keep it nice and damp. So you fill it up. I'm filling mine up all the way to the top, like that. And then I'm going to get it all wet. Again, using my handy dandy sprayer that I love. And I'm just gonna go until the water starts to run out the bottom. And then the next thing I do with this is I'm going to be setting it on this tray so that I can keep some water in this tray. And the roots obviously won't be all the way to the bottom of this pot for quite a while. But the perlite will be soaking up water from this tray, and so it's almost like a wick system, or it'll just be keeping itself damp, so I don't have to constantly be misting this or anything. So it's already starting to come off the bottom, but we're gonna go a little bit more, make sure it's all saturated. There we go. That's a good sign. Just gonna let that drain for a little bit because the white of the perlite gets on my planter and isn't super cute. Also, this mat is from Plant Mats and it's my most favorite thing ever. I will use it in basically every video, every repotting, every potting up, propagating, everything. Okay, so I'm gonna have it sit on this tray like this. And then I'm just gonna use the stick end of this to make the little holes in the perlite for my cuttings. I have 6, so I'm just gonna make 6 little holes, and then I will collapse the perlite onto the cuttings once they're in there. But first we're gonna dip them in the rooting hormone. So you just, well, I guess technically someone said I'm not supposed to dip them straight into this, but who cares? I don't know, research it, see if you're supposed to do that or not. Okay, so I'm gonna stick them into the holes that I made after I get them in the rooting hormone, down to just about there, like that. We'll see. I'm sure there's reasons I'm not supposed to put them in here, but I guess I could pour some in the cap, but it's all right. It's already too late. I'm just kind of gonna put them around so that when they grow out, they're going out over the pot instead of into it. 2. That's where we're at. See those? They're so cute. It's so cute already. And then I'm just gonna kind of like push the perlite down around the cuttings to kind of stabilize them a little bit, but they don't need much. So let's do the last ones. I have 3 left. Hopefully soon, especially like after this summer, I will have a nice full pot of polyneura. That is my goal, is to have a big, huge, luscious hanging pot of them. I think they're so gorgeous and unique looking. There's really nothing else that looks like it. So, in my opinion anyway, the leaf shape is just so cool. And my daughters love it too because they say it looks like a mermaid tail, which I agree, it does. All right, so I have those down in there now, all throughout the perlite. Whoop. And I'm just gonna water them now, just kind of get the perlite damp around them a little bit more settle it in around there. Okay, now I'm gonna fill up this tray. And I don't want it so that the whole, like, you don't want water, you don't want to sit in like a bowl of water so that water is coming up to here. You really just want enough water so that the very bottom of the pot is sitting in the water so that the perlite soaks it up. And then I just fill, whenever the water is gone, I just add more. And this also kind of creates a little humidity dome around this, but I will be keeping this in my my knockoff IKEA cabinet. My cabinet's from Amazon, but it's a greenhouse cabinet and I love it. So like this, and that's that. And then I will show you guys a clip of it in the cabinet. So here is where the cuttings will stay, in this little greenhouse cabinet. Humidity's about 72%. Hopefully it'll get up to closer to 80 soon. But they will just live in here. I will fill up this little dish of water whenever it's low, and hopefully they will be happy. In, you know, a few weeks, we'll start to see some root growth. The nice thing about rooting in perlite is that I feel like it just helps that transition to soil so much. The roots are already used to being in a medium instead of water. And I feel like that helps. And then, especially if you're using like a chunky mix, like the Soul Soils houseplant mix is great for Hoyas. That will also be great for this transition because it's not much different than the perlite, but it does have a lot of extra yummy things for the plant to feed off of. So that is it for my Hoya polyneura propagation. Here's the mama plant again. Still looks like a pretty decent plant. And like I said, I might take some more cuttings later, but for now, I think I'm just gonna leave it and let it rest a little bit. But other than that, I think they'll do great. But yeah, I love it so much and I think it is gonna do amazing. I will obviously keep you guys updated. So make sure that you like, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you've ever propagated Hoya polyneura before. I would love to hear some success stories. Let me know if you've ever propagated in perlite before. And if you haven't, I would love to know as well. Let me know if you guys are interested in this. I think propagating in perlite is really fun. I wish I had a clear cup because it's more fun to see the roots through those, but I just didn't have any and I was too impatient. And so I just wanted to do it now. So this white one will be fine. But anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Make sure you're following over on Instagram as well. I do daily question and answer in the stories and it's just a lot of fun. So I will talk to you guys later. Bye.